To save my marriage, I decided to transform myself into the image of my husband's ex-girlfriend. Honestly, I think you are prettier. But I respect your choice. When the swelling subsided, I removed the bandages, and handed over Sanzi's photo to my roommate, to let her see any differences between us. I look exactly the same. Just like twins. It's perfect. Satisfied, I tore the photo to shreds. Now Sanzi has no advantage left. What can she compete with me now? At night, I struck the most seductive pose waiting for John. When he saw me, his eyes nearly popped out. Is this the legendary double happiness? I asked him if he would still contact that bad woman, but he said nothing and pushed me down. I think that was the best answer. A few minutes later, my husband hugged me, completely satisfied. It's as if I've returned to the wonderful times when we first got married. Just at that moment, my husband's third son called. John immediately hung up. This pleased me greatly. I forgave my husband for coming out. He was merely attracted by that woman's beauty. Now, I have taken away her only advantage. Now, John belongs entirely to me. I wonder if any of the sisters have become single between January and February. The essential conditions for dating are fundamental. February 12th, Mountain. The essential conditions for dating all include having a warm little. Who you? ENTJ, Aquarius, Factory, that's the frequency. That's the key to the frequency. Have plans for oneself, continuously add bricks to one's future. Holding hands allows everyone to match their drinking nature. Holding hands brings everyone together. Really did a lot of registrations. Need to fill out a very long and comprehensive form on July. Comprehensive meal. Wheat wants to meet and chat with people who have good taste in clothes. Show as much of your own personality as possible. Let everyone see each other's bright spots. Chaoyang Park 11.9 kilometers. Chaoyang Park 11.9 kilometers. It's easy to meet people who appreciate each other at Livius. The probability of both sides rushing towards each other is very high. I originally thought that the happy life would continue like this. But the next day, my husband invited a bunch of annoying friends, and it seemed like he was avoiding me all night, intentionally avoiding me. After all the guests had left, I couldn't wait to get intimate with him, but he refused, saying he was too tired. Don't cling to me, I'm so tired today. In the middle of the night, I woke up and subconsciously reached for my husband, but I only touched loneliness. It was very quiet around, and I faintly heard John's whisper. I sneaked out quietly, and I found John hiding in the bathroom. From their conversation, I heard that he was actually going to have a date with someone. Is the hotel you mentioned called Paradise? Just hearing the name, I already like it. Could it be that he has contacted that woman again? The next day, I ambushed near that hotel in advance. An hour later, I actually waited and saw my husband. He even sprayed himself all over with perfume, acting all flashy. Then he entered the hotel. I checked one by one. I quickly found the suspect. I was so angry I could almost explode. My husband actually found another woman. When I clearly saw that woman's face, I immediately got furious. She was incredibly unattractive, absolutely hideous. Could it be true that the home flower is not as sweet as the wild ones? This left me completely baffled. After waiting for my husband to come home, I angrily ran to confront him. Her legs were long, white, and slender. If you had touched them, you would understand. I didn't expect this to be the reason. To be honest, her legs really do look great, and yet, I have bow legs. Since I can give my husband the looks he desires, I can also create longer and more beautiful legs than hers. Over the next few days, I stayed in the gym. I had the coach secure my limbs, and then stretch them vigorously. It felt so sore but exhilarating. But for my husband, I could endure anything. In the afternoon, I went back to the beauty salon. I had the technician forcefully push the fat on my thighs into my stomach. A month later, my efforts finally paid off. My legs were stretched to 1.6 meters. Although the process was excruciating, it was all worth it. At that moment, I was full of confidence. When I showed the results to John, his jaw nearly dropped. I had never seen such long legs. I loved it so much. Just like that, my husband never contacted that woman again. We spent countless wonderful nights and days. I feel that he loves me more than before. Unfortunately, good times don't last. One night, I woke up to find my husband missing again. I subconsciously ran to the bathroom door, but he wasn't there. Just then, I suddenly heard footsteps behind me. My husband was surprisingly not wearing his pajamas. He seemed to have just come back from outside. I went out to fix the car. I don't have time to fix it during the day. It turned out to be a false alarm, but the next night, my husband disappeared again. Could it be that his car is still not fixed? So I decided to surprise him to comfort him. I was horrified to discover John was actually hiding in the car with a girl. When I saw the girl's face clearly, my eyes almost popped out. She looked exactly like me before. When my husband came back, I immediately pinned him against the wall. You forced me to have surgery to look like your mistress before. Why are you looking for another one now, who is exactly like me before? John's eyes immediately welled up with tears. His expression looked very helpless. It turns out he really misses the days when he first met me. That is his most precious memory. Wife, I hope you can restore your original face. I loved you more back then. John promised that he would never look for another woman again. He will become a faithful husband. Seeing my husband's determined expression, I softened once again. After pondering for a moment, I took out my phone and booked the surgery. To save the marriage, I came to the cosmetic surgery clinic once again. I was still in the corridor when I met a fellow patient who had cosmetic surgery with me initially. Has your husband changed his mind now? I nodded with some embarrassment. Just as the doctor was about to call me into the operating room, the girl asked me a question. Don't lie to me, I guess your husband must have fallen for another face again. Have you ever thought, if your husband one day falls in love with a man, what would you do? Would you have to become a boy? I had never thought about this issue before, just constantly accommodating my husband. Do I have to keep going in this endless cycle? So I decided not to sign for now. You're not the first person who wants to go back to their original self. We usually give patients a week to consider. I told the doctor, my mind is made up. I don't need a week. When I returned home with my face wrapped in bandages, John was there waiting for me. He was excitedly rubbing his hands, but when I slowly unwrapped the bandages, he was immediately dumbfounded. You dared to play me. I wanted your original face. I gently pushed him away. What I really wanted to regain was my own dignity. I will never deliberately accommodate him again. I pushed John's luggage out the door and decided to divorce him. Calm down, I won't force you anymore in the future. But as time passes, you will definitely miss me. When the time comes, surgery will still be necessary. I told John that I won't change myself to please him anymore. Every woman is a work of art. To someone who truly loves you, everything about you is perfect.